Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Carol Baskin from Big Cat Rescue. If you haven't been following the saga of Tiger Lake all of these years and everything that we're doing to try and get rid of the hydrilla that is overtaking it, then this is 10 minutes of your life you're never going to get back. So you might want to watch something else. We have hundreds of really great videos. But for those of you who have been concerned or maybe even donated to help us with this project, then you might find this pretty interesting. So filming you guys will be more interesting than the cats who aren't coming out.
This is Jamie, and this is her brushing up her sock. She has dirt to
stick in my shoe all day.
That's what happens after you cut down trees. Attach that to the lake and give them a rope. And we have some heavier steel cable, like on a really long roll, so I can just use one long piece and just pull all the way across.
Do you have the end caps for the things?
No, I'm gonna use a float that we had over there where the geese are now.
Okay. And then I guess you guys will get all this stuff.
Top of the bank, so two people work it. One person drops it, and then they can pull it with the rope like kind of across the top of the water.
Like they were doing yesterday, right?
In there,
Yeah.
yeah. So this float isn't big enough to make the rake float, so we can adjust that, and then it would just be a matter of like kind of like a long pulley system. We run it empty to one side, drop it in, and pull it back. Pull.
What we're definitely using is a zip line.
The only problem is it's pretty heavy to get all the grass off the rake, and you have to sift through it to make sure we're not pulling out any of the part.
Hydrilla is the weed that you see in fish tanks. So whenever you go into a pet store and you see fish tanks full of that long, skinny, green, narrow, tubular, kind of leafy looking thing, that's hydrilla. And it is a great water filtration device. And so that's why it was used so much in aquariums that get pretty rank pretty quickly with a bunch of fish in a tiny little bowl. So hydrilla was something that you could buy to put in your tank that would help keep the water quality better.
It's so close. It's so close.
Is the rake on your side or their side?
Their side. I was just getting it over here, and then I think he was coming around to pull it. Come back. Yeah. Okay.
And as people would flush their fish when they died or throw out their water from their aquariums when they cleaned the tanks, this hydrilla ended up in the waterways. And here in the South especially, this thing has grown like wildfire, even though it's not a native species. And so it's in our lakes, it's in our rivers, it's everywhere here in Florida. Even if you go to Walt Disney World, I mean, with all the millions of dollars they can spend on their lakes to make them pristine, they are full of this crap. And what happens is it grows so fast, it just completely blankets the top of the lake so that no light can get down through the water, and it chokes out all of the beneficial plants, and eventually it chokes out all of the animals. So all of the fish and turtles and everybody who lives in an ecosystem that would be a lake like Tiger Lake, an 18-acre lake, ends up being killed because this stuff just grows so profusely. have the added problem of having big cats that swim in these lakes, and we don't want them getting all tangled up in it or even just feeling that ickiness on their feet. So, because it's kind of a slimy feeling thing. Somebody gonna tell him when to stop?
Yeah.
Look at that. Oh my goodness, look at that. Fish rescue mission. It's alive. And so we have used all kinds of sprays. They have to be sprays that are safe for the environment, safe for the cats, and only kill hydrilla, but we can't even possibly dump enough of that on these plants to be able to kill them. We have had professionals look at this. We've had the Florida Wildlife Commission come out and try to help us with this. And the only thing they could suggest for a lake this size was a permit for something called grass carp. And so we got a permit. They would only allow us to put 200 of these sterilized carp because they're an endangered species, or not endangered, they're an invasive species too. So we got all these grass carp. We've put them into Tiger Lake, but it's going to take them a while to grow. I think when they came, they were about, 6 to 8 inches long, and they can get up to 75 pounds, and I think they live about 7 years. But we're trying to help them out by getting rid of as much of this stuff as we can. So Victor created this very heavy metal comb that you see us using, and he attached a float to it, but the float isn't enough to keep it out. I think we're going to use a bear keg. Anyway, this was our first attempt at raking the lake. Well, not our first attempt, but the first one that we've done on film of us raking the lake to get the hydrilla off the surface. And then it's kind of hard to tell from these photos and videos, but the root goes all the way to the bottom, and Tiger Lake is 30 feet deep in some places, and so it's just this one long skinny string of the root all the way to the bottom up to the top where all of this leafy stuff is that we're pulling out. It's about 500 pounds of this stuff they're pulling out each time, so that's why we have to use the bobcat to do it, because it's just really, really heavy. And then we'll have to let it air dry and then put it into dumpsters and take it off to the dump. But we don't want to put it in dumpsters wet, because then we'll be paying for all that water that can just evaporate. So, if this is something of interest to you, watch and enjoy. This is one of those filming things that's so interesting at the time, and it's probably going to be like watching lava later. Fast forward. That's amazing.
You go up a little bit more. It's good.
It could be a turtle.
It's true.
What'd you draw?
The other things.
Some hydrilla. Oh, where's everything? I guess I need to.
Square tubing?
Yeah. Just add to this.
No.
Man.
Nice job.